This is where I actually threw my shoe at the TV. Like, what? Hi, I'm back. It's Sunday. Did you miss me? It's only been a week. Don't be so clingy. I'm going to level with you. When I first saw Dawson's Creek, I hated it with every single fibre of my being and my soul. Specifically Dawson himself. He just read on screen as smug, self-satisfied, self-righteous, and like he had too much to say for himself.
Question?
So the question is, will I change my mind about Dawson's Creek? Will I finally feel an affinity with Dawson himself because of our shared love for Steven Spielberg? And the answer is...
keep watching.
Without further ado, let's get into it.
I don't wanna wait for our lives.
Obviously, it's a pilot episode. The point of a pilot is to introduce characters, storylines, relationships. So I'm going to try to not be too harsh, but wow. I would like to disregard the theme song on this pilot episode because once it was greenlit, they did what needed to be done and they went with this song, which is absolute fire.
I don't wanna wait for our lives to be over.
We are introduced immediately to Joey and Dawson lying on Dawson's bed, watching a Steven Spielberg film, specifically E.T. The writers clearly want to establish that Dawson loves films, Dawson's obsessed with films, and we get this literally in the first few seconds. And they're interrupted by a woman with comically big hair reading, is it the weather or the news? I can't remember. Her hair is insane. And we find out that that's actually Dawson's mum. So we find out that Joey and Dawson are childhood friends. They've been friends since they were 7 and now they're about 15. And Joey lets us in on the fact that she now has breasts and that is the reason why she can't sleep over anymore because she's worried about their raging hormones because she thinks they might end up accidentally sleeping together. My first thought was, instead of hypothesizing whether this is going to be a thing, why not actually work out if you're attracted to each other? Instead of just decided that because you've grown breasts, you're automatically going to be attracted to a person of the opposite sex and vice versa. It's a lot. It's a stretch. It's a reach, Joey. But thus begins the dreadful existential nonsense that every single character espouses at any given moment during the course of this show. Anyway, Joey does end up staying the night and we as the viewer are left wondering whether she does have feelings for Dawson because she clings uncomfortably to the edge of the bed for dear life. We then see that Dawson is directing a pretty shitty, low-budget student horror film, establishing further that he loves films, Dawson loves films, and we are then introduced to another friend, Pacey. You know what? I don't personally hate him on sight. Joey uses the insult, "bite me," which really ages this show. But I actually found it really funny, especially the way she said it was so like, "bite me." Very gentle read. We established that Dawson is friends with both Joey and Pacey, but they are not necessarily friends with each other. Then we see the beautiful and feminine Jen emerging from a car. And then the director cuts to Joey in her tomboyish look. And I guess we're supposed to, as a viewers, like believe that Jen is the more beautiful one. I'm not sure what they were trying to do here, but Joey is obviously objectively stunning too. You know, we're supposed to pit women against each other. So yeah, there's that. The boys are immediately smitten with Jen. She's the new girl from New York, which automatically makes her 89% cooler than these bozos that live by this creek, right? Joey is off the bat so rude to Jen that I actually couldn't believe it. She's so rude. Like, unbelievably rude. To be honest, there are several moments during this episode where I cannot understand why she is not just slapped on sight. Jen has way more restraint than me. Only joking, peaceful, love not war. But we'll get on to more of that later on anyway. Okay, so Jen explains why she's moved to town.
Yeah, my grandfather's aorta collapsed and so they had to replace it with this plastic tube and my parents sent me to help out for a while.
Kind of a big deal, right? And it would be to anyone hearing this information, right? Wrong. Dawson reacts with no empathy whatsoever. In fact, he doesn't extend any sympathy and instead just gets excited about the prospect that she's moving to town because she's a hot girl moving to town.
So you'll be going to school here then?
We then find out that the boys are obsessed with sex. They are teenage boys after all, but we also find out that Dawson's parents are obsessed with sex and apparently can't keep their hands off each other.
God, Mom! Oh, hi, son.
Now, maybe I'm bitter, but I just cannot imagine anyone living like this. You mean to tell me that you couldn't wait? You couldn't wait till you knew that your son wasn't coming home from school or wherever the hell he was. And also, your child is 15, so let's deduce you've been together for at least 15 years. Now, I'm not trying to be cynical, but really, bitch? Are you just trying to make the rest of us look bad? 15 years later, at least, and you still got it like that? Fair play. We realise that his mum is actually hot when her hair comes down a little bit. I'm not sure what her TV hairstylist is doing, but she hates you. She hates you. So we then find out that Joey lives with her sister, who appears to be on the wrong side of the tracks, and her partner is
a black man.
When I first saw this episode again, I was like, do you know what? Cute. We meet him in a very wholesome way. He does not appear to be doing drugs nor selling drugs. He's not in jail. In fact, he's showing Joey some kind of weird looking thing that he's made, and it's very wholesome. He's giving I like to cook vibes. And I was like, yes, okay, 1994, 1998, whenever this came out. Wrong. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 90s and that train is never late.
Any day now! That train's never late!
We discover her sister's pregnant and Joey seems to have a somewhat fractured relationship with her. Where are their parents? We do not know. So, Pacey and Dawson work in a video store similar to Blockbuster Video, which is a type of establishment selling videos for all you Gen Zers. Yes, there was a thing back in the day where you had to go to a store to rent out a video or a DVD, like you would borrow a library book. Do you get it? Do people still use libraries? Anyway, that was a thing that we used to do in the past, children, okay? Side note, working at Blockbuster Video was my actual dream job, but it never happened. During this scene, Pacey has a very long and painful exchange with a girl called Nellie, and we find out her dad owns the video store that they work at. It's irrelevant. And then a very hot older woman comes in the store. And Pacey is immediately in love. For a 15-year-old, Pacey's kind of confident and he basically shoots his shot. Now, I don't know how old this woman is, but I can tell you that she is not a day younger than 20. I would put her at maybe 37, something like that. She flirts very inappropriately with Pacey, and this is what she says.
I could help you locate a video this afternoon?
Maybe. I'm in the mood for romance.
We keep the new releases against...
Oh no, I'm vintage. All the way.
I'm sorry, it's so inappropriate, but guys, it gets worse. Dawson spots Jen on the dock and they have a painfully awkward conversation. And Dawson lets us know again how much he loves filmmaking. She gets a tour of his studio, lucky girl. He geeks out on his film stuff and she isn't horrified by it. My main comment was like, how rich do you have to be to have a setup like this? Do you think it's because real estate in that area is cheap? I know this was the 90s, but I'm just wondering. These are questions that came to my mind when I saw his room. Anyway, Joey climbs up the ladder in a really creepy way and creeps on them through the window and is clearly jealous of them. So we cut back to Dawson, who's obsessively watching his mother on TV. It's giving Oedipus complex, but basically he's rewinding it and he kind of makes this weird comment that he thinks his mum's having an affair with the other news anchor. Foreshadowing, perhaps. But Joey thinks that Dawson's just trying to find fault with his seemingly perfect life. We see Jen with her ailing granddad. It's actually a really sweet and tender moment. And then we meet her grandma. Her grandma's trying to convince Jen to go to church, but Jen reveals she is a
atheist.
Next, we're in the high school. That girl, Nellie, from the video shop randomly asks Jen if she parties. And Jen informs us that she's substance-free. It's the weirdest exchange of life and I don't get it at all. My only assumption is that the writers are trying to establish that Jen is perhaps not substance-free. Is Jen not as innocent as she's appearing to be? We then discover that the hot older woman from the video shop is actually Pacey's English teacher. Jen tries to befriend Joey, but Joey is not having a bar of it. Dawson then tries to get in a film class, but the teacher says no.
Computer says no.
He sulks, a recurring theme. I just love how the teacher puts Dawson in his place.
Sorry to say no is my definitive answer.
He also gives us a life lesson for 2024, which is that no is a complete sentence.
Not no, period. It's a complete sentence.
Period. Jen then tries to befriend Joey again, and this is where we learn that Joey is indeed from the wrong side of the tracks. She informs us that her dad is actually in prison. Okay. And that her sister has been impregnated by her
black boyfriend.
They love to say black boyfriend.
Impregnated by your black boyfriend. You and the black boyfriend. Who the black boyfriend?
I just cannot. Pacey flirts with his English teacher and she inappropriately flirts back. I actually cannot with the inappropriateness of this teacher. It is wild to me. Wild. She lets him know that she's going to be at the movies later that night. So Pacey is definitely the funniest thus far, and I am slowly remembering why I used to not hate him.
I have 3 menstrually diverse sisters, okay? Cosmo is my savior.
The writers did him a solid there. Dawson sees Jen talking to a jock and gets randomly territorial, even though he's just met her, and they have another painfully awkward conversation. He invites Jen to the movies because Pacey wants to go because of the teacher, and then Dawson decides that he cannot possibly go with just the three of them, and so he goes to ask Joey as a favour, which absolutely could never be me. At this point, Joey rolling her eyes is a personality trait. I know I'm doing it a lot as well, but Jen's gran is trying to convince Jen to come to church with her, but Jen is just absolutely not having a bar of it. In my opinion, Jen is kind of rude to her grams. At the end of the day, she's literally like got her husband or ex-husband, I don't know what the relationship is, but he's like looking like he's dying, and you bat-chatting is not the vibes, to be perfectly honest. Your grandma's dealing with a lot. Anyway, we find out that something happened in New York, but we don't find out what that thing is. And I guess the writers want us to continue watching to find that out. The suspense is truly killing me. No, really. Jen hits us with this line.
I'm trying really hard to keep my rebellious nature in check.
Ooh, go off. Okay, so Dawson's relationship with his dad is very odd. His dad speaks to him in a, I don't want to judge, I'm not a parent, but like...
Shift. Your mom's on. Watching her work is the best foreplay.
I'm out of here.
Cool. Because they're going to the movies, Joey's sister gives her a quick makeover, whilst her black boyfriend looks on but has no lines. At the movie theatre, Joey is still unbelievably rude to Jen and asks her if she's a virgin. Straight up, no foreplay. They head into the movies and Pacey spots the teacher, so he ditches his friends to go and speak with her. Jen and Dawson start fondling each other in the movie theatre, which is really awkward for us to watch, but also is awkward for Joey to watch. So Joey interrupts by asking another incredibly inappropriately rude question to Jen. Jen doesn't slap her. What's new there? Joey asks Jen what size of genitalia she prefers. Is she real? Is she actually real and okay in the head? Anyway, Pacey's teacher is actually on a date with somebody else. Pacey gets jealous and there is a punch up in the movie theatre. This exchange is so loud, and if I was a moviegoer and I paid for my ticket, my popcorn, my Coke, and I was sitting there and someone was doing that, yeah, you bet your bottom dollar I would be getting up and cussing them out. It's absolutely inappropriate. Yet again, Dawson and Joey argue about her rudeness, and Joey says to Dawson that his life is perfect and he doesn't even know it. He doesn't even know it. Dawson and Jen walk back home and they have an awkward exchange again where they don't kiss for some bizarre reason. Pacey is walking back home with his black eye when he spots the inappropriate teacher. He's pissed off with her, justifiably so I might add, for flirting with her and leading him on. And he basically calls her out on what I consider to be not a bad read on her. But I thought, okay, here's the moment where she's going to say, look, you're too young. I'm 46, you're 15. I'm flattered, but, this isn't going to work for me. No, she doesn't do that. Do you know what she does instead? She kisses him passionately at the dock. Where are her morals? Her moral compass? Where are her work ethics? Please tell me. This is madness. This is why I actually threw my shoe at the TV. What?
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Are you actually okay? What in the grooming nonsense is this? Unless the follow-up to this episode is a jail sentence for her, I want no part in it. A mess. Dawson goes home and finds Joey in his cupboard. Okay. Dawson apologises to Joey for having a perfect life. And he also says that he thinks Joey is pretty. Joey gets gassed, and then he says, but he doesn't actually find her remotely attractive. Sorry, it's not funny. Oh my God, I hate boys. Why? So out of order. They discuss how the relationship is changing. It's kind of like top and tailing the beginning of the episode. This is now coming to the end of the episode. And for some reason, as a way for Dawson to prove to Joey that they're still friends, she asks him how often he masturbates. Okay, now I'm not 15, but I have had male friends, and I've had many male friends in my life. Not once have I felt it prudent to ask them how often they masturbate in order for them to prove their loyalty to me or their friendship towards me. It's just not a thing. Anyway, he correctly does not entertain this, and she leaves in a bit of a huff. He then has a change of heart for some reason and shouts out the window,
Joey! Usually in the morning with Katie Couric.
Joey rows home. Quite a fabulous way to get home, isn't it, by boat? Anyway, she rows home crying with happiness that perhaps their friendship isn't doomed after all. Then she looks to her left and sees Dawson's mum and the news anchor making out.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Let's go back to the beginning of the video where I asked, question, will I change my mind about Dawson's Creek? And the answer is, yeah, it's still a pile of turd and somehow worse than I remembered, actually. What have we got? Grooming scandals, parents masturbating and not being able to wait till their child goes out the room before they talk about that.
Black boyfriend.
The absolute rudeness of Joey and her not having any consequences for it. The teacher not being in jail. Dawson's complete lack of empathy. His smugness still remains. Pacey's the only semi-likeable character, but he's still annoying. The episode was far too long. It was like 45 minutes. The dialogue is laboured. I don't need to hear teenagers having an existential crisis every 2 frames. There is a smugness and self-righteousness to every single character, including Pacey, which is just insufferable to watch, quite frankly. Okay, I will say, and it pains me to say it, I don't hate Dawson as much as I remembered. There, I said it. I still hate him, but in this initial pilot episode, I don't hate him as much as I thought I did. But there's still time, right? I suspect that he gets worse as the show progresses from what I remember. I'm not sure I'm going to be finding out if that's true or not, because I don't think I can watch another episode of this.
I don't wanna wait.
The fashions, however, always worked. I mean, 90s has never gone out of style as far as I'm concerned. So today I am modelling myself on a hybrid between Jen and Joey. So I've got like a yellow cotton vintage shirt, some not too long, not too short shorts. Very Call Me By Your Name, kind of Italian Riviera rather than Dawson's Creek. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this and I will be back next week with another potentially insufferable teenage drama. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, like it. If you want to subscribe for more, do. If you want to comment any suggestions that you have for me to watch or rewatch, I am open to it. I don't know why I just did that. Anyway, okay, bye.